Hi, everyone. I was trying to give it a few minutes for a few more people to join, but we'll just get started. And if they miss the beginning, they can listen to the recording. Hi, everyone. I hope that you're having a great day. Today is June 26th. The AUM is at 235 million. The Elephant M cap is at 80.1 million. Our treasury is at 8.3 million, and the trunk supply is at 121.7 million. Ed, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Josie. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
How's it like up there in the NYC right now?
Well, we've had a bit of a heat wave, so it's been pretty miserable. But today's not quite as bad as it has been.
Do you have AC in your place?
I do, thankfully.
Okay. I know that some people up north, don't actually have AC because it's not needed as much. Kind of like down here,
Yeah.
we don't always have heat, but we had to go buy something external piece of some kind of equipment to get heat down here when we need it, since we never need it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think when
I'm a baby, I need AC. So every room.
Oh yeah. we have to have AC here in South Florida. It's crazy. And then it only waits till if it drops to 79 degrees, everybody freaks out and thinks they need their Uggs out and puts them on. I'm like, come on, it's only 79. It's not in the 50s. Come on, people. I got confused about 10 minutes ago. I was trying to look at the stats from last week or the week before, and I take screenshots every week of our dashboard, and I took it. And so I'm trying to type something up, and I look over at my phone, which is a screenshot, and it has the time on my screenshot, which I took at 11:03. I'm like, holy crap, I'm missing the spaces. It already started, and realized it was just a photo, and it was only 10:50. So I was going like crazy around here, thinking I needed to be on spaces already. I hope you guys are doing well. What do we got here? June 26th. As usual, the space is recorded. And don't forget that you can play it back anytime you like. Pretty much once it's over, you can automatically start playing it. It just automatically kicks right in there on Spaces. I'm not sure how easy it is to download and send some other spots, but at least you can send a link or something to some people that can use it when they need to. So BT yesterday put a AMA out, and it was like 2 hours long. I missed like the first hour. I tuned in and I go, oh man, because it was like unannounced. He's like, all right, I'm gonna do this, and it seems like he has some kind of like GPS on me. If I'm doing something and I'm busy, that's when he wants to decide to do an AMA. That's when he'll launch a token. So if you ever want to know when something is gonna happen, if I'm busy, something's gonna be coming. So I came in and I logged in. I was already an hour in. I started listening for about 15 minutes, and I'm like, oh, I see that it's recording. So I'm like, okay, good. I don't actually have to listen. I can listen to it later. So I never got a chance to listen to most of the stuff he said yesterday. I hope you guys did and got some good information from what he gave you, because, when he talks for a couple hours, the information BT gives you in those 2 hours is more than any YouTube content creator is going to get you at any time. It's just the amazing info you're going to be making. Just listen to what he has to say. You can go all these people that have all these different pages and they're talking about all these different charts and analysis, and it's never the amount of info that BT will give you. He's not just giving you stuff about crypto, but about finance, but just how the world works when it comes to people's money. You learn so much just for listening to that. And I'm going to end up listening to it after this, because I only got about 20 minutes into it before I said, oh, that's right, Spaces coming up. So check it out if you haven't. It is pinned. There is a couple I posted. I used some kind of website and transcribed it. So I posted a PDF of it. I think Digita also has a better version of that too. So I'm pretty sure it's pretty accurate. But if you actually like to read instead of listen, well, there you go. But remember, it is a 2 hour something long AMA, so it might take you a little bit of time. Looking at some of those numbers about the past couple weeks, man. Trunk's around the same price, 67, 68. But the BTC turbine, the trunk turbine, always gaining. We got another 20 or so people into futures, which is awesome. Don't forget about our Nashville. Today's June 22nd. Our Nashville is July 22nd at the top of the roof, Justin Timberlake's new bar. Eventbrite has your tickets that you can get to it, and I believe like $50, I think it is, to join us. And make sure if you have one of those black NFTs that you have it with you, so we can see, and make sure you get the little gift that we're giving people to have and hold those NFTs and especially if you get them in the first round. That's pretty cool to see all those that jumped in pretty early and joined us. I know Digita put some, I mean, that's all I really had personally. I know Digita put some notes about what was talked about in the AMA. And if you get a chance, you can search his name and see what he wrote as a little recap if you want some more information about it. I mean, pretty much he was talking about our strategy and our vision. What's our end game mentality going forward? You know, the ability to respond to the changes that are going on in all the markets, just in the world here, to where we need to, you know, make adjustments to elephant money so we can just set the tone for the environment that's coming up on us. Adapting and changing whatever you need to. He talked about stable coins and loans. He mentioned Michael Saylor a little bit about how he's helped crypto getting it out there to the world. He's talked about, let's see, what was he talking about? Obviously, we did talk a lot about Trunk and where he thinks it's going to be going, what we need to be doing. He also, a couple of people were asking some questions about how to work their lending and how to make the best decisions on what they should do, their strategies and stuff like that. So he'd offered a couple little things about that. He did mention Solana and the future plans on there. What else did he mention about? And he was talking about just the importance of the liquidity pools. And obviously we talked about the community engagement and, you know, the active participation and understanding what your guys' role is with doing that, with not just the each one teach one, but when you're engaging with people in the chat room and making sure you're helping them in the right way. I mean, it only takes a little bit of something for somebody to come in and not understand it, for they just kind of like brush it off. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to come back a little bit later, and maybe I'll go over it that way, and kind of like, yeah, you know, then they kind of fade out. Then they don't want to do it anymore. So it's one of those things where when you're talking to people, I'm not saying we're boring when we talk to people, but when we're telling people stuff, we have to remember that if they're asking the question, they're not educated enough with everything going on, and it only takes a little bit of too much information that may be difficult for them to say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to stick to what I'm doing now instead. So be mindful of that when you're telling people and describing things to them. If you get too technical in some of the words, that's just going to make them, it's going to go right over their head, and they're going to kind of like disappear a little bit. But also helping people understand, you know, about protecting themselves and keeping their funds safe, especially newbies. But that's about it. Shankar is here today, which I'm glad, because I didn't have much to offer today as far as information. So it's always good when we get people to join in and stuff like that and help out. So if you do want to say anything, if you have any questions, I don't know if I can answer them, but I will try. If you just want to come in and chat, feel free to hit that little thing at the bottom that says request to speak, and you're welcome to jump in. Shankar, man, what's going on? You able to jump on?
Yeah, absolutely. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I heard I was on when you asked BT about a question yesterday, so that was the only time I actually heard. I think you were like the first person or second person to talk, so I actually got to hear that. And about you were asking how to each one teach one, the lending part. Wasn't that your question? I think you're asking him. I don't know if you want to, you know, bring that up again and chat about what he told you and what you think is the best way you've been approaching people about trying to use lending instead of, I mean, we're still telling people about all the other aspects, but when it came to lending, what you learned about that and how you were going to approach people on it?
Yeah, absolutely. I had the pleasure to be present for the entire 2 hours, and I'm prepared to kind of give my personal overview, also trying to catch people up on what was said. That definitely includes the lending part. So essentially, he started with re-emphasizing the importance of being flexible in business. And to him, that means understanding how important Trunk is for our community bank and also the lending business on Solend. And I think it's really interesting when you start realizing that truly the tip of the spear to him is Trunk and the lending business. He likes his sports analogies, right? So he said that futures is in the defensive, so it is something that is kind of a backup to rely on, which is good. And he reassured everyone that the herd as it is able to carry futures, and there's no sustainability issues there. And then he mentioned something that really was an epiphany for me, if you will. He said, make no mistake, Solend and the lending business is a way better business for Elephant Money as a community bank than Futures has ever been. And that got me thinking a little bit why he would say that. And then he said something that is actually quite telling of that. And he said, if you look at how long that pool has been in existence, and let me see quickly if I can see the inception here. I don't see the exact date, but we all know it's not that long. Like, what, it's maybe a month or two, I'm not sure. But going again by the total supply in our pool, I'm looking at it right now, it is at 10 million US dollars. So that's both the values of USDC and Trunk combined. So if you contrast that 10 million to what would be the equivalent in futures, and I would say that's 53 million if we look at the total value locked, if that is the number we would want to use, then it is very true that it's absolutely mind-blowing that, you know, we have essentially amassed a fifth of the entire TVL of futures in just a month or two, or however long the pool is in existence. And that to me is a strong indicator. When we speak in business, you know, we always speak about what's the revenue of the company and so on and so forth. But you know, this is truly like, that was eye-opening for me. It's like, okay, this little lending boring pool here has already in its existence surpassed the total value of futures. And that is why he says it's a much better business and it's going to take us much further quicker than futures has. So that's kind of important for all of us to understand. And I don't think he means to say futures doesn't matter to the bank anymore and to you as individuals anymore. No, it is life-changing, it is cash flow. But his primary mission as an executive of this community bank, as he referred to himself, is to grow the business. So yeah, he wants to surpass, now that we basically are supply-wise, we hold spot number 2. So we have surpassed the Solana USDC lending pool by $4 million US in supply. Now he basically wants, the next step would be getting on spot number 1, and that would mean there's like this basket of different tokens that is a much bigger pool, 313 million, as I'm looking at it right now. And he wants us to surpass that. And he has full confidence that that is possible. And I do too, because I realized that we managed to do 10 million in 2 months. And, you know, we have a community, and we have the ability to have coordinated effort. We have culture. We have a reason why we all do this that goes beyond just the money-making part. And that is the hurt. That is much, much, much stronger tool than having something that is purely driven by capitalist reasons, right? Which is probably what that first pool is. So then to go into my question, of course, I raised my hand yesterday and I said, well, that is great. And, you know, for us having to do the each one, teach one to maybe people with varying degrees of understanding, it seems to matter that we can, like, I think one of the strengths of futures is that predictability and stability that you can kind of outline for people, where you say, if you play by these rules, granted that they shift a little bit, but you know, you should be able to have this expectation as an outcome. So I asked him, you know, what's the narrative for this lending business, and he gave a good answer, you know, and I have written down essentially the huge plus is it is much easier to explain this to anyone, because when you look at the lending pool and you want to be a supplier of USDC, then you can look at what is the current supplier APR, and as I'm looking at it right now, it's 43%. And that's that. Now you can go to anyone who understands that on their savings account they get less than 1%. If they are willing to lock the money up in a certificate of deposit, they might get, I don't know, anywhere between 5 and 10%, depending on where they are in the world. But here, you know, you put your money in, you get right now 43%, understanding that that fluctuates based on the market and supply and demand. And you can get in and out as you will. And I do think that is a very strong value proposition. And here's the great thing about this. You don't have to go through the challenge of explaining all the mechanics of futures. Because I know we all know that's quite a job sometimes, you know. People take several weeks to really grasp it, and some never do. But he said, you know, let this be the entry point into our ecosystem, and then people will find out about futures as they mature, and I think that's right. That's true. So that's the easiest way to do each one teach one right now. You go to someone who has a little bit of money set aside, you tell them, hey, how about instead of letting your traditional bank give you close to nothing, you get 43% here and you can get in and out whenever you want. So I took his advice yesterday, and I conveniently had a call half an hour after the live AMA. And I had it with an investor that I had already spoken to about futures, and you know, we made his little deposit, and then I gave the strategy a test. I said, oh, by the way, if you have another nest egg, you might want to consider this here, this lending pool. You know, he had $10,000 to invest. And it did work immediately because it's so easy to understand, right? So now next week he wants to put in 10K, which is much more than I was able to get him to commit to futures at this point, right? And it was much more effortless. And I think that is a huge, huge win, because again, as a business owner, I'm thinking like, do I need to invest 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours to bring a new client to our community bank? Or can I spend 10 minutes talking to someone, they get it and they partake? So that's really, I agree with BT here. And if anyone here wants to take my advice on that, it's a little bit of a radical, it's a shift of perspective, right? Because we have all become so invested into becoming futures experts and being good at explaining it. And we've fallen in love with it for all the good reasons. But as again, in business, you need to be nimble and you need to understand, okay, we have something here that is more interesting and it is easier. Easier is often better in business, very often. So you can, just to go into the options, you can just put in USDC and let your supplier APR give you yield. That's the easiest. You can also, of course, buy a trunk and then put that in there as a supplier. You get a little bit of yield, very little, but you also have exposure to an asset that is very likely to have a lot of appreciation over the next months. And you help with the numbers, right? Because make no mistake, people with lots of USDC to supply, way more than probably most people on this call, I would assume, they're very numbers driven. They go on the Solend platform because they know it's one of the most reliable platforms on Solana. They do exactly what I told you. They go to pools, they will sort it by size, and then they will look at the APRs, and that's how they will decide how to make their allocations. So we have these vanity numbers of total supply and all of that, how much trunk is in there, how much USDC, that will attract, that's like bait for these bigger investors. And that's why that matters. So that would be option number 2, right? You just supply your trunk, or you make a combination of it. Which is what I'm doing. I have my trunk in there, my USDC in there. I use this as my high yield checking account. Yes, there is some money that I don't want to be trunk or any other coin that is exposed to volatility. There's some USDC that I always want to have ready to deploy or pay my bills. But why on earth would I have it in my Chase checking account where it does nothing? I can just have it in here, right? It's super flexible. It's so easy to get in and out. And then, of course, you can responsibly borrow. And, if you want that, that really depends on your situation. So, I mean, sometimes, like, let me give you an example. There's we all know Nashville conference is coming up. I'm definitely going to be there the entire week. So if someone wants to spend some extra time with me, hit me up. But I'm also, of course, going to take advantage of the Bitcoin conference. I am very much playing with the idea of getting a VIP ticket, just because I understand the importance of networking and paying for access. We spoke about that in the previous. I want to be able to tell the VIPs in there about elephant money, right? So I think the ticket is, I don't know, I bought the industry pass for $1,000. I already have that. And I think the upgrade to VIP is another 4K. So I could take that 4K from somewhere, right? Or I could say, well, why don't I use my trunk as collateral, borrow the 4K, and then, pay for my ticket. And then over the next few weeks, I use my futures as planned to make my claims, and then I pay back that loan. Understanding that it is quite a high borrow APR is 66%, but it's way more flexible. You don't have to deal with credit card companies. You don't have to ask anyone, can I get a loan, a line of credit or whatnot. So that's one way you can also use it. And then, of course, there's more advanced ways, which I won't get into that because that is more advanced, how you do lending and borrowing and play with your understanding of how Trunk evolves over time. So I thought that was quite interesting. All of this talking just to really encourage the herd to understand that nobody's giving up on futures. We still love futures. I still love I'm more in love with futures than with anything else. It's just a brilliant way. BT yesterday said he did futures. He brought futures to life because it's one thing that where you can kind of you can play the game right, be on the right schedule, and then you get reward. You don't have to rely on the community doing the right things. So I think that's super cool. But anyway, just to say that it's not forgotten. It's just not in the spotlight right now. Trunk is the tip of the spear, and I mean. I don't regret my DCAing at all. Right now, looking at the chart, it evolves beautifully and it's very impressive. So it's just about accepting, all right, Solend and the lending pool matters. It is very, very healthy for all of us. And if we believe this man, this highly educated and experienced man, both in business and in technology, then we should just follow his lead and advice and DCA Trunk as responsibly according to our individual situations, and then supply it in that Solend pool, and everything else will really fall in place. So there was one last thing. Oh yeah, he mentioned about Bitcoin now being subject to the games of big money, right, of Wall Street, because with the ETFs, there's such large sums involved that as the Wall Street games happen, that asset is now a lot more subject to these dynamics than it was before, which we can see. I mean, and which he knew. That's why he also chose to make the allocations to the Bitcoin turbine much smaller to anything else. So yeah, that's what I have. I am very, very excited for the future. I'm going to try to show up to all the important meetings as well. He mentioned that yesterday, which I think is very important. He plans to have representation in different industry events, such as, of course, the Bitcoin conference, our Nashville, our own conference with the documentary that will be launched. That is huge. Like, I'm just picturing in 5 years, we have maybe a Netflix documentary, the beginnings of the first decentralized community bank. I really think that's happening. So, anyone who's a holder of a black NFT has a shot to be interviewed for that as a perk to be a holder. So that's really cool. He announced that yesterday. And then there's other conferences throughout the world that he will attend. And I'll likely attend a good number of those as well to talk about elephant money. But yeah, that's what I have for today, Ed. Thank you so much for the platform and for your service.
Thanks, man. You gave us a lot of info today. I'm glad you stuck around the whole 2 hours and listened to that, and were able to give us a nice little summary there. The one thing a few things that I heard you mention that I wanted to say is, we were talking about the Bitcoin conference, and you said you were thinking about buying the VIP pass, and I just realized, when it comes to each one, all right, we're walking around the Bitcoin conference, fine. We're all walking around the big conference hall and with everything going on, all the booths. But when you're like, should I spend the money on the VIP pass? And granted, it is a lot of money, but you got to think about who is in that room with you during that conference. And those are people that have spent 4 or 5, maybe even more thousands of dollars to be in that room. So they're not like, hey, this is my first time buying the crypto. They're not those. They know what they're doing. they're probably OGs, or at least if they are new, they do have quite a bit of money to be in that room. So that is a perfect place to, spread the word about Elephant in case they don't know about it, or maybe they do. And you just imagine the amount of wealth that is just in the VIP area. I don't know what the highest ticket is at the VIP, is it called the whale package, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I could just imagine the amount of wealth in that room and the opportunities they are continuing to look for. They're not just, hey, I'm in crypto and I have a lot of money. They're always looking for the next thing to make them even more. And when they can hear something like elephant money, something that they can look at and not even blink an eye to worry about thinking that something, it's just going to rug pull and disappear in another month, the stability we have and the longevity we have, and the total value amount of money we have in our system and liquidity, it's just that could be a great ticket to have. I don't know is BT say he's got the VIP ticket too? I don't know if he mentioned that yesterday.
No, he didn't mention. I would imagine there's a chance he does. I mean, he definitely told us several times that he has plans to meet up with very important people in crypto. So I would imagine he either has it or he gets access because he's an OG in the space. You know how that goes. But yeah, just to what you say is so true. I mean, in business, paying a lot of money to get access to decision makers and those who are the movers and shakers, it is so worth it. Like, you just have to. The whale pass, I'm looking at it right now. It's the VIP pass. It's $8,999. Wow. You just have. Okay. Also, let me be clear. I do not mean to that anyone like. This is not for everyone here in the room. Obviously, everything according to your situation. But for someone like me, I'm looking at that $9,000 and I'm like, okay, what kind of return on investment does that give me? I pay $9,000. I go in behind the curtains. I bring one investor, one big investor into our ecosystem, and all my holdings over the next 12 months will triple, quadruple, 10x, what have you, right? That's how I think about it. But talking about elephant money out of context within your circles can be very powerful for each one. Let me give you an example. I'm sitting on a board of free market medicine advocacy in San Antonio. So yesterday I joined the board meeting and I said I won't be able to be as active anymore because I'm dedicating more than half of my time to the promotion of this amazing DeFi community bank. And then they all looked at why is that so important to him? And I briefly said, well, so and so. It's because I'm getting this yield and so on and so forth. I speak their language, right? I'm not talking about anything that a non-crypto person would be confused about. And then they literally said, oh, you know what? For our next mixer, you're going to present on that, because they're all business people and they want to know how they too can have a checking account where you get up to 40% APR. That's literally, you have to use those words, right? Don't talk about Solend and the lending pool and this and that, but just say how it is and that fits in the context of your meeting. I guess that was a little bit of a tangent, but yeah, back to you, Ed.
Yeah, that was both those stories about the board you're on, and then, like you said, the amount of money you would spend on the pass, what's your return of investment. And I know there's probably maybe only one person listening at this very moment live to us that could actually do that. The rest of us here probably could not. And even if I had the unlimited money, even me going into a room like that with people that are more knowledgeable than me in crypto and know a lot more things about everything with it, I wouldn't feel comfortable going in there talking about elephant. I feel like I would fumble the ball. So I would, I don't think I could. I mean, I could say some great things about it, but with the wealth that would be in that room, they're looking to really dive deep into the ecosystem and make moves, and that would be something more for you or Bank Teller or maybe even Native or Dre or some of our guys that really understand everything about it, understand finance a lot too, because it's not just about understanding what Elephant does. It's also about understanding, the industry and finance and all that kind of things too. So it'd be great to be in the room with everybody, but I don't know if I would be the best person to be in there and bring people on board, even though I wish I could. But if you do go in there, I hope you do bring that one person, because like you said, that $9,000 could turn into 90,000 by bringing one person from that VIP room in there.
Yeah.
And I hope your board members in there, or at least one jumps in too. I hope they find it interesting and they're like, wow, I've never seen this before. And like, yep, that's why I'm here to show you guys what really can be out there for you.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, based on my experience in other business fields, there are people out there who just have, I don't know, they have $1 million sitting somewhere, and they're looking for something to play with. They say, I'm going to split that $1 million in 10 $100,000 chunks, and I'm going to take a shotgun approach and see what what hits something.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right. Some will want to have a very educated conversation. Others who just, Robert was RFK will be there, right? So some just attend this conference and buy this ticket because they get a chance to be close to someone who runs for presidency. So there's absolutely the possibility that you will run into a rich person who doesn't know crypto but is there, and you let them know, hey, we have this, and then they'll just on a whim decide, I'm going to put in $100,000 and see what it does. And they'll actually forget about it for a year, believe it or not. And then, hopefully in a year it has 10x, and everybody's happy, right?
I did not know RFK was going to be there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you did say, for some people that do have for them, 100,000 is just spare change, and they can dump it in and leave it somewhere. Not like everybody, but those people can, and they will do that. So it's when you're in those kind of places, there's so much money flying around, and there's so many opportunities there. So I'm hoping we really get the spotlight in there, and we get this BTC conference is going to be really, really good. I know we're talking about the Nashville Justin Timberlake Elephant event, but I have a feeling throughout those 3 days, anybody, especially going in there for even longer, that our name is going to get out there quite more than we thought it was going to be, and we're going to see some good things happening before the year ends.
I mean, the lineup of speakers is quite impressive. I mean, they have RFK, Kathy Wood, Michael Saylor, Edward Snowden, senators. I mean, they really did a great job with. I encourage everyone to look at the speakers on the website, and just get the entry-level ticket. And since if you're going to Nashville, I would definitely encourage you to get the cheapest ticket and enjoy that conference.
What is the cheapest ticket? Like a general admission kind of thing?
Yeah, general admission.
And that's just for that one. So that would be the event. So would that cover all days, or each day it's a general admission price?
No, I think it covers all days, and I'm looking at it here. So it looks like the most affordable option is called the Festival Pass. That will get you into day 2 and 3. So because day 1 is industry access only. So the Festival Pass is $549, and if you pay in Bitcoin, you get 21% discount. So 433. Yep.
All right, not too bad. It's not too bad. I thought it was more like around 600 or 800, but it's not too bad for what you get for that, what you get to see and access you get to people and stuff like that too. What else did you mention when you were just talking about some stuff? And futures is still going to be my ultimate play and my ultimate thing to tell people that are new. It may bring up some lending. And I know BT says, hey, that's a big focus right now too. But I would say, even if it is a focus, make sure when you're giving somebody the each one teach one, even though something you might not know very much of is the focus, doesn't mean you need to each one teach one that, because you still want to make sure you're teaching people the stuff that you know really well.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, and you're kind of like, you don't know all the information about something, that could really get some people off target of wanting to join. You want to make sure you're knowledgeable what you're talking about, because if you look like you don't know what you're talking about, they're like, why do I need to put money in this? And you don't even know much about it. So make sure you always know as much as you can before you're doing that. So you do look knowledgeable, you do look positive, and you do find success in what you're actually
and passionate, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we all have to know and understand our audience. We have to remind ourselves, BT is at such a high level of understanding, and also, I notice that often, as experts, and you know that in your fields of expertise, as experts, we are so close to our field that we just sometimes don't see the perspective of the lay person, right? So I agree with you, Ed. I think that some people will find much more appeal hearing about a futures product than just a high yield checking account.
And we need people in every part of our ecosystem, not just lending or just holding elephant or just holding trunk or just in futures. We need it in everything. So the more you're knowledge, whatever you're good at, go with it. If you want to learn some other stuff, other parts of the ecosystem, do that. But what part are you an expert at in elephant? And then go with that. And then you teach people that. So what happened today, maybe 10:30 here, like half hour before Spaces, I was in here in my break room here, and I'm at the law firm right now, and an attorney walked in, and he goes, hey, do you have any plans for the summer? Are you going on vacations? I go, no, I have nothing planned, but I'm going to Nashville for like 3 days. And he goes, oh, you're going to a concert? And I go, no, I'm doing the crypto conference thing. And he started talking to me. He's like, hey, you were into that? I said, yeah, I'm into it. I said, I'm telling him, hey, it's not the easiest to onboard. And he's like talking to me, and he has obviously the regular stuff. And I was telling him that, hey, you know what? The regular stuff you're in, you make more returns being in the crypto part of it. And so I was trying to just quickly tell him something, and as I'm talking to him, I could tell his words to me were, he understands his stocks. He understands how to go to wherever he holds them in to, E-Trade or whatever it is. And so I said, it's just as easy as that. But you make more with the crypto than you would with what you have in. And he literally just looked at me and goes, you know what? I just don't understand it quite yet. And that's where his words were to me. And so that's where I get the aspect of, what other people will say to you. And when you walk up, and, he's in the journey, he's pretty smart and knows what he's doing and makes good money. But that was the reason he wasn't in it yet. He's so used to what he has and what he's been doing that he just doesn't really think he wanted to learn about it. So we'll see what happens if I keep talking about it. But it's just funny that he walked in and asked me about it a little bit. And he's just so used to the old ways and the old amount of money they're making, and not knowledgeable about the new stuff that's out there and the new opportunities that are out there for them to make money. And they make quite a bit, so they could be even making more if they're a little more knowledgeable about that. But that's just, one person at my job. Just imagine where you work or who you talk to, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same answer that people are going to give you. And giving those people the information that and like Shankar said, in the way they need to understand it, Like he just talked about that board meeting. He talked about the yield. He didn't go into the crazy words like Solend and lending and all that, because that would have thrown him off right then and there. He went right into the words they understand. And now he's coming back to do something for them at the next time they get together. And that's a good thing to focus on is, the person you're talking to, speak their language, even though you know another language. Translate it, put it into their language the best way you can. And hopefully that'll help just bring, like we always say, one more person. That's it, just one more. If anybody else wants to jump in, feel free to jump in. Still got a few more minutes to go. Just hit request to speak and we can let you in. Shout out to All Things EVM here. Cryptolove, SP215. Anybody want to jump in? Oh, let me give the PT, what was I gonna say? The NFT winner. Let me see if they are still on. I'm pretty sure. You know what? Oh, there you are. Patricia, you're the winner. Always good work from Patricia. So Patricia wins the NFT. You know how to find me, of course, and we'll chat. Get your address. I'll get PT to send it to you. He hasn't sent out the past like 3 or 4. So if you've won lately, you haven't gotten yours yet because he hasn't sent one out yet. Oh, there you go. Hey, Patricia. Who else? Native. Let me see. Feel free to jump in, man. Take over for a few minutes.
Greetings, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. We are on a rise. We're on a rise. So, you guys really touched on some important things, especially after that communal last night. And Shankar, thanks for touching on the perspective of the communication and really the communication bridge between our world, so to speak, and the trad tools and maneuvers. And ultimately, just to expound on that, like, basically it is a universal conversation. It is universal terminology. And so, like, if we look at it from the standpoint of it's simply business models, just like futures essentially is just a business model that is essentially being upgraded and updated for some of the same vehicles, same tools that TradFi is known, to be able to utilize and leverage. So, so it's really just financial tools and financial vehicles. And so even when you are talking about Solend without having to use the title of the name of the protocol itself or anything like that, speaking of it from the financial vehicle itself, like Shankar just spoke on, it's a place to park your money where you can get, high yield, auto compounding, generation. It's literally just going to be a place where you can yield a lot of gains off of parking your money there. And if you just kind of do the whole KISS and keep it simple, stupid type of angle, then you're speaking in universal terms. The same thing goes for futures. You can park your money here, you can make X amount. This is what your yield looks like. It's just a place to park your money and compound and grow your money. Same thing goes for Solend. I could literally just pull the verbiage of saying futures or Solend, and I'd be conveying the same message and saying, yeah, I can put my money here and yield a return that is not only beating inflation, but basically beating out any kind of yield bearing asset that's out there right now. So if people are just trying to find places to make good gains, then you just kind of keep it simple and communicate the financial vehicle aspect of it all. And obviously that also expands into trunk as an asset as well. So, like, you have that short term and midterm model, and then the long term model as well that you can communicate from there too. So you can communicate that to anybody. But yeah, I just wanted to add that to expound.
Yeah, that cannot be stressed enough. I mean, it is at the end of the day, if we want a technology and a way of investing money to go mainstream, we need to at some point be able to speak mainstream as well, right? Because a lot of the technology that runs on DeFi in our community bank is also present in traditional finance. BT tells us often enough that he was very important in the background technology for Fidelity, right? So but nobody in Fidelity will open up the box and tell you about how that works, because it's not about that. It's about the business and the forefront. And then also to go back to what Ed was saying, like I've noticed that people who understand stocks and shares, they very often, it's so close. You can draw a lot of analogies between a coin launch and tokenomics and shares. So you can just leverage, if you do want to explain trunk to someone who understands shares, well, it's not that difficult if you speak their language and say, hey, look, that's kind of how there's lots of parallels there.
100%. 100%. Yeah, and that's where the excitement comes from. I know that we can get cut off at any given moment, but that is where the excitement comes from, because these vehicles and tools are now accessible to your average person, understandable by your average person, and leverageable by your average person, depending on your risk profile and depending on how much you actually want to put in. Like Ed said, I mean, I know that we've all ran into people, even if they're sophisticated, that throw their hands up, glass over on their eyes and say, I don't know, it's just too complicated. And the reality of it is, it's not complicated. It's manual. Just as simple as what we're actually doing on Solend is literally called manual leverage. So it's like, these are manual. You have to get in there, roll your sleeves up, and actually utilize the platform. So it's like, it's you doing it instead of it being automated or having an intermediary automated. And some people just don't want to put that work in, don't have the time to put that work in, don't have the focus to learn a new skill set, to dive into something like that. And that is the differentiation between early adopters and people who see, massive X's and those who come on the train later on down the road.
And people that if you ask just a common person working at their job and the money they have in their whatever they have from their work, their 401k, whatever the deal is with that, ask them, hey, how did you get that all started? And how'd you get into it? You have money in there now, right? Okay, what did you have to do to get that started? It's about the same amount of steps as it would to buy crypto. I mean, it's the same thing. You're not doing a lot of work. You may think it's a lot of work, but it's really not a lot just to buy the elephant token or just to buy some trunk. Maybe getting our other stuff, between the lending and futures is different. But if you're already doing something at work and you're already depositing money every check, futures is perfect for that. It's just a different thing that you're doing, but it's almost as simple, like Native said. So it's not really as hard as you think it is when it comes to that.
And in that same breath, I want to be able to just kind of stamp exactly what you just said onto single-sided USDC Solend liquidity. Same thing, just with different variables. Throw it in there and have it watch it just basically grow and yield and auto compound. So it's literally simply it's the same communication,
It definitely is. I think we want to. I know we're still chatting, but I think we're going to cut it off because I don't want it to cut us off. And when we have something good going on, I don't want to ruin that. So, you want to give a last word for just any good positive quote for the day or something, Native, and then we'll jump out.
Yeah, ultimately, I'd like to just quickly shed light on Shankar's FinTech room, where he takes suggestions for what you would like overviews on his next videos or anything like that, just by being part of his I guess inner circle, so to speak, on that channel. If there's anything, even if you want to utilize it as a showcase, video as a showcase, something that could break down or anything like that, I could see that would be a strong tool for anyone in the ecosystem to be able to utilize. And I know all things ETH or all things AVM also utilizes this type of things as well. It's just kind of simplifying the communication value. So yeah, that, and just stay vigilant. Get as much trunk as possible. That's just a suggestion, obviously.
Hey, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Get as much trunk as possible right now.
Right.
Before this Bitcoin conference. Get it.
Exactly. Excited to see everybody, and one love, peeps.
All right. Thank you, Native. Thank you, Shankar. And Herd, I'll see you guys on Telegram. And you guys have a good week. I'll chat with you guys later.